All right, welcome this Tuesday morning, afternoon, or evening, depending on which part of the world you're on or in. And once again, I'm joined by the brains of the operation and mostly the talent, Beef Stew. How are you?
Hey, so my wife really loves Alex Trebek in Jeopardy, so we can use this for you. The subject is pro bowlers for 200. He speaks languages and loves 300. It's up to you, Chris.
I'm going to go with who is Francois Lavoie.
Yes, and he is Secret Agent Man.
Well, with no further ado, I think we should bring in. We don't want to waste any time when we got the man, the myth, the legend, and a full 90% of the former podcast. What was that?
Happy hour.
Happy hour. Yes, 90, maybe 95%. So, with that being said, two-time U.S. Open champ, another 300 on TV, and after taking a couple years off, he's back with in full force and taking the tour by storm. Francois Lavoie.
Hi guys, how are you?
Pretty good. Not as good as you. Shooting 300 on TV like it ain't no thing.
just whenever you want.
No, occasionally. I don't always make TV, but when I do, I make it count.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't always make TV, but when I do, I usually walk away with an extra 10K.
It's a good plan.
Yeah, or more. Well, I mean, that's not as much as some people make when they shoot 300.
No.
That's true.
Yeah.
See, you did it without him even being there. Reminded you.
Yeah. Well, it seems like every time I do shoot 300, I'm reminded by either some people telling me or the PBA sharing some old videos of some other people shooting 300, and the checks are a lot bigger for those people. So I try not to think about it too much. 10,000
All right, don't get greedy. Back in the day, they were using rubber balls and they were splitting boards.
Yeah, that's true.
Not your newfangled stuff where you were throwing it anywhere and getting a strike.
That's true. 10-5.
As I was going back through the shows last night, I was watching 10-5, and I went, well, it's not really where. I mean, there were some guys playing further right. You were shaping it a little bit.
Yeah, I was. We were when I was bowling Velmo, it was on the fresh, so I ended up shaping it a little bit more on that show than I was on the previous ones where I bowled on the burn after Tommy used urethane and the second time after Velmo used urethane.
Yeah, Velmo, when he uses the urethane, is actually, unless he really wants to wheel it, when he's bowling on those kind of patterns, he creates a lot of left people.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of the things you can really see on TV is the fact that he drills those urethanes so weak too. They don't flare at all when he throws them.
Right. Yeah, the slow motion of the ball going down the lane is really nice. It makes that really easy to see. You can just practically see one oil ring on his ball the whole way down the lane.
Yeah, I was shocked that, I mean, with 600 or 560 RPMs or whatever it measures out to, I know they don't flare a lot, but I assumed that he would get it to flare 3 or 4 inches, and it was under 2, which is why that giant puddle gets created down lane.
Yeah.
It's
you bowl Velmo. I'm gonna focus in on the fact that he was very lucky. He had the trip Brooklyn 6. He's supposed to be the best bowler in the world. It's absolute bullshit when he gets to Brooklyn. Therefore, he should have lost the match.
Yeah, I like that. I like that philosophy.
Like, he's the best. If he throws a shot that bad, it should be an automatic loss. But it wasn't.
Or correction.
Like you're saying, you kind of ended up. I guess you probably were a little steeper than you really wanted to be with your angle. Kind of looked like it put you in that sort of like ring 10, blow a 7 type motion. Maybe another game. Like if that match had been best of 2, best of 2 or race to 2 or whatever they call it, I think you would have probably had a pretty good chance because Velmo was only making the lanes better for you, and I felt like his score wasn't really reflective of the ball reaction he had. I didn't feel like he had that
Mhm.
good ball reaction.
I didn't think so either. I actually didn't think for the first, at least the first 4 frames, until he caught a couple good breaks and everything kind of. I mean, I don't really think he's the kind of guy to necessarily tense up anyway. But until he got a couple of breaks in the first half of the game, I didn't think he was very comfortable either.
No.
So if those breaks don't necessarily go his way, I think we have a closer match going into the ninth, so to speak. But yeah, I think my reaction, like you said, I was a little steeper than I wanted because we were on the fresh. Um, the first couple frames, I went wrap 10 and I went high on the left lane in the second and third. And after making the moves, I felt like the left lane had gotten pretty understandable for me. The right lane was the one that was a little trickier, and I think in retrospect I should have switched to the high road pearl on that right lane because I found myself having to move left because it was quite a bit sharper off the spot. And opening up the angles is when I almost left that flat 710 with the slow messenger that took out the 10. If I make that move after the commercial break and switch to the high road pearl, it comes off it a little bit better with the even steeper angle. I think that would have been the right play. That's what I did in the 10th just to see, because we always do that to ourselves. We always punish ourselves by making the move we should have done in the 10th, and
Yeah, because
it ended up working. So yeah,
let's say you're probably never going to bowl another tournament in that bowling center. So the fact
right.
that was the thing to do is almost completely irrelevant.
Yeah, exactly. It like I said, it's in retrospect. You always kind of figure it out a little bit too late when things don't go your way. But that's what I probably should have done. It's also a hard move to make on a double after the commercial break.
Yeah,
Switching
I
to-
see. It's easier after a couple more frames to go back and go, yeah, I was thinking about that, but I mean, what really has to happen for you to go, oh yeah, I'm making that move?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I'm not quite. I'm not quite
You-
pulling off the Don Barrett with the switching balls on a double on the supposed good lane.
Yeah, just loves it. So we've got a French speaker here. Congrats on the second 300. I don't know what parkour is. Is that play?
No, parcours is like I'm blanking here. Not progress, but like your performance throughout, like the
Right. Okay.
yeah, the run you made, yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
through the playoffs.
This is a great question. I think it's pretty. It seems like it might be a Velmo hater. Was the tread really the best ball for that pattern, or did you just get in his head a little bit? Yeah, it looked pretty good the previous week when you shot the Bills.
Yeah, no, I think it was definitely the right ball. It was actually Sean Ryan's suggestion. I didn't have one with me, and we've talked about it quite a bit before, but the trend fits right in between that idle pearl and the high road pearl in our line, and that's a pretty big gap. And so the idle core was just a little bit too strong to do what I wanted to do from that part of the lane, and the high road pearl was a little bit too sharp. So Sean Ryan suggested the trend, and yeah, I think it was definitely the right ball. There weren't no mind games or anything like that.
Might have been
What
the
about
previous
Sean?
week with Sean.
Sean's the only one playing mind games. He'll suggest some balls sometimes, and you just look at him. You
Oh,
can't figure out if he's serious or not.
no, we were meaning the mind games might have been towards Rash
Oh,
when you use the Velmo ball.
the match before, yeah.
I don't. I'll ask this question during the match. Are you watching the lack of flair on Belmo's ball and seeing the tight rings and making adjustments based on that?
No, not really.
You're just aware of the type of balls he's using and what it's creating from what your ball's doing, I guess.
Yeah. I'm not watching when Belmo's up, or any other person for that matter. I'm not watching that intently, unless I know we're doing similar things and there's going to be some quick moves. In that case, we weren't. I mean, the moves weren't going to be that drastic. I was doing my thing, he was doing his thing. I knew how his thing was going to affect me, but I didn't need to be watching what he was doing that intently, unless he was going to make a ball change or do something completely different. I was aware of what he was doing, but I wasn't really, I wasn't trying to stand behind him and see where his ball was at the arrows and at the break point and all that.
The one thing that I wanted to ask you, because watching, I feel like I don't know what the solution is, but I did feel like it was a little rough that you bowled Belmo in that round of 8, and no matter kind of if the person at the top of the bracket had won and beaten Belmo, then that person would have bowled every match on fresh, and you'd have bowled every match on burn to that point.
Mm-hmm.
Like I say, I don't know what the solution is, whether they make one side the burn side and one side the fresh side, or they do every match fresh. It just seems that that's a little bit rough for that person coming in against a guy who's obviously bowled on the fresh when when you're only bowling on what they've left type of thing.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. It's kind of depending on what seed you end up being. It's luck of the draw, really. Like you said, some guys are always going to bowl on fresh. Some guys are mostly going to bowl on burn until I think the final 4 and the final were all on fresh. I think.
Oh, every match was.
I think I'm not sure. The second round of 4 match might have been on the burn too.
Yeah.
I'm not entirely sure, but yeah, like you said, depending on what seed you are, you might end up bowling on burn every match until you get to the final if you make it there, and then you bowl on fresh for 100,000. So that's interesting, but I don't know either what the solution is there.
Watching the final 4 last night after Simo and Velmo bowled, I'm pretty sure they did not run them because they were way tighter in that match. But you know, it seemed like every time they put the lane machine down, just by watching on TV, that you pretty much bowled on a different pattern anyway. I mean, you guys, whether you bowled on the fresh one time or not, the next time, you know, you might be 2 balls down or 2 balls up, use an angle. It was like I've never quite seen it be that different from run to run to run to run, and it seemed the same for the PBA League as well. That I don't know what was going on, but man, the back end of the lane played completely different from strip to strip.
Yeah, and even from the TV pair to the practice pairs we were on. I was throwing that hustle PBR on the practice pairs, and I couldn't miss. They would have needed a lot more checks if we were bowling on that higher end. It was so different going from there to the TV pair. That PBR didn't have a chance on that TV pair.
They were walled on all the patterns in that section where you practice. Oh yeah.
No, I didn't say all the patterns, just that one.
Oh yeah, especially Chameleon. There were stones on there. Wow, if I'd have bowled on the TV pair, I might not have made 450. Shit.
Yeah, you were too high up on that match. You should have been on the lower side.
We'll go with that.
BZ all the way from Malaysia coming in. He thought he might come in and try and take a shot, but he's got too much respect for the secret.
No, Zul's got my back. Zul wants me to learn a little bit of Malay and become the next Malaysian YouTube star.
There you go.
I mean, worse ideas.
Yeah.
There have been worse ideas. I saw Simo was in the comments earlier. There was a funny story about that. So they wrote me the check, and it's that big, huge, obnoxious check. And so we left it at the front counter after I bowled, and then we bowled the round of 8 and so on. And Simo gets the front 6 and front 7 and 8 and 9, and obviously they don't travel with multiple of those checks. They just bring one. So all of a sudden, after the 9th one, I can see the girls, Carissa and Jill. They're just scrambling, looking for that check. They're like, "We might need to use that again. Where is it?" And so I go and run. I go run and I get it from the front counter. I bring it to them. And now the next problem is they used Sharpie to write my name on the white spot. So now they're thinking, how are we going to erase that? Do we have some? I don't know what they would have done. You might have ended up seeing a check with some duct tape on it.
So look at this. We must have the most good bowlers watch our show of any. Look, the great and the good of Finland.
We talk about posse more on this show than anywhere else in the world. And
there he is.
If they only had video in the 90s, like they do today, and camera phones.
2000s. He's not that old.
Yeah, well.
When was the last time you won the Ballmaster?
I don't know, but he broke Dom's heart to do it.
Oh yeah, I mean, possibly still be a YouTube star if we could have had camera phones on all the time for him.
Yeah.
So the round of 8 was it was what it was. You were the star of the round of 8 as far as I was concerned, because you're the one who came on the show. So Simo took care of Prather. Simo was kind of curving it. Prather was kind of trapping a high road, which I don't know. It just seems like that's not really what he does on TV that much. He got a Chris Prather strike where he left the 7-pin for about 3 days, and then a pin rolled the whole way across the deck and knocked it over. And then something really weird happened that hasn't happened in the last 2 years, that's for sure. The 710 turned up and said, no, Prather, no.
Yeah.
It was kind of fun because I think that Prather and Simonson are both fantastic and both get the most bullshit strikes of any good bowlers. Not Brooklyn's. I mean, like, it's just, wow, that one struck, seriously. So
Yeah.
it was like the immovable object against the irresistible force. And Simo said, well, I've got an extra hand, so hit the bricks, Prather.
Yeah, the 7-10 followed by Simo rolling the 2 on the very next shot. That was it's one of those moments that you go, oh.
I feel like that would have been a really good time to pull out the Aaron Rodgers belt celebration. So that was that match, and then Bill against Troop. Bill continued. It just seems like he's got by far the best reaction doing what he was doing. And then I didn't really get a chance to catch the Brad and Smallwood match.
I did watch it. Yeah, it's just, I mean, Brad started off with an early, he missed a 10-pin by 5 feet.
Yeah, I do actually remember watching that in the bowling center, and I said to Tina, I don't think I'd ever seen anybody miss one by quite that far. I hope he stuck or something, because that was...
Well, and he did, and like everybody, I mean, the approaches were pretty consistently terrible on that TV pair. Everyone who shot a 10-pin the first time stuck every single time, every match.
Yeah, it's weird. They couldn't just stand where they were stood for a strike shot to shoot the 10-pin. Weird.
Yeah. Well, and the fact that it didn't get addressed is a little bit of a problem with wood approaches, because it was obviously an issue there too. And it's just one of the things that kind of got overlooked, I think, in the scheme of an entirely new staff doing TV.
Just a little bit of admin to clear up here. You're both wrong. It's magenta.
Oh, God.
There you go.
Big pink.
You're saying it's pink. What color do you think it is, Frankie?
I would say purple.
I would say that I know my color chart, and it's magenta. Anyway.
Yeah. A couple of people asked about why we thought they were different, and I mean, there's a lot of different reasons, but ultimately, I don't know any other way to put it. It's the same surface, the same temperature. It was back to back to back. So either the stripper wasn't working or blue oil does something really funky to lanes. Of course, it wasn't on the lanes for that one, right? The playoffs.
The first round had blue oil on, and then the machine broke as they were getting ready to shoot the second show. So they stopped using it.
What do you got going on here?
We can be the BArnzy and Beef show now.
Okay.
The topography on that TV pair was pretty interesting as well. So I don't know how much of it. I don't know how much because the topography is consistent. It's always the same. The re-oils really varied. So I'm not sure if strange topography affects a re-oil even more. I wouldn't think so, but I'm not an expert on it.
Yeah, I guess that's an interesting question. But yeah, like you said, the topography doesn't change on that pair, and it was pretty interesting in the league thing, using one of those lanes, only the right lane, and then using the other side. And we saw a lot of the same things, that people had to go up and down several balls.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know exactly why. And maybe we'll have Sean Perry on. He could, we can get some more conspiracy theories started about how things changed from stripping oils to stripping oils. They're also supposed to sit for 20 minutes, and they were sitting for about 32 seconds, which has an impact.
That's a slippery slope getting a lane guy in.
I like Sean, though. It could be a perfectly civil conversation. I don't know how long we get before one of the two of us calls, but or worse. So,
do we want to move on to the top four?
Yeah, I think Smalls had the front 7 or 8 against Miller, and he dispatched him pretty handily. And Brad couldn't carry. He was following one of the urethane matches, and his ball did the same thing as Prather's. It just wouldn't go through him, especially on the right lane. Then we went to the top 4. Simo Velmo, another rematch. These guys seem to bowl each other on TV a lot when there's a lot of money on the line.
Yeah, Velmo going into that match was 6-3 head-to-head against Simo.
That's a ton.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, he's 23 years old. He's got 9 matches against Velmo already.
Just against Velmo.
Yeah.
Yeah, and about half of them are semifinals or finals of majors.
Right. It's just, I mean.
Yeah, I think he's 1-3 against Velmo in major finals.
It'd be interesting to think about how many people have made 9 shows total, let alone bowled. Well, and to be fair, I guess if you make a show, there's a fair chance you're going to see Velmo.
Well, only if you get to the last 2 matches.
Yeah, but Walter made a bunch. I'm pretty sure we didn't bowl each other 9 times total. That's a lot.
Yeah, I mean, we had Walter on actually. He was talking about his records against certain people when he was on. He's like he can just sees numbers. He can remember his record against everybody.
That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
All I know is that makes me 0-2 against Velmo on TV. It's easy to keep track when there's only 1 or 2.
I know that I'm 1-0.
I know I'm 0-1 against Haugen. I get reminded pretty regularly.
There you go.
I got a little rematch at the SASBA this weekend. It looked very much the same, except he was the one with the front 6, and the only thing that changed is I never got any closer.
I'd have loved Haugen to have told you this is the way you close the deal. He's way too respectful to do something like that, though.
No, he was fun. He shot 279, and I had to switch balls and do something, throw the back 5 to get to 210. So it was a really close match.
So Simo was using reactive balls, and then he comes on against, and he just for perspective, he went 258, 270, 270 with the back 9. And he comes out against Velmo, and it's team pitch black.
Mm-hmm.
He says, "Oh, that's cute, Velmo. You want to use your thing? All right, I'll do that too then." And has the front 10. So he had a cheeky little 19 bagger on the show.
Yeah.
Curving reactive and then throwing the urethane straight. So I guess he didn't worry too much about bowling on the burn or the fresh.
No, it usually doesn't matter to him.
A couple of things I noticed from it. Simo's rev rate was averaging right around just under 500. Velmo was about 530. So that's kind of what we see. I would say that Simo is probably the one who can get his on the lowest side rev rate wise. And Velmo seems to be trying to dial his rev rate back a little bit, just in general. I mean, he can still give it the business. I just don't think he wants to.
Well, I think he's playing straight with the urethane ball. I think he's trying not to make it hook so early. But anyway, when he plays straight, obviously the numbers go up. Simonson's rev rate number went up 30 or 40 the match he played with urethane versus when he was hooking it with that idle.
Yeah, I think I must have been hooking it too much because I think they clocked me in at a smooth 330.
Yeah, I saw 341. I saw 339. I went, I get he's not two-handed, but because Randy said something like 200, so I had to back it up. I'm like, 200?
Yeah.
Like Belmonte's just said 540. Not 200. That puts you down just around slightly above Walter Ray. I don't quite think your numbers.
Yeah, I don't know.
Do you
But
remember when we were at Steve Jacobs' place and we'd been watching the Spectre on TV like the first time, and we spent the practice session was good for about 2 hours, and then we realized that we could have competitions to see who could throw the lowest rev rate and still get a strike.
Yeah.
Prater dominated that thing. Dominated it.
hey, here's a good question coming in from the side. Frankie, would you bowl a tournament with McNeil since you have such good chemistry from college and now Team Storm?
Okay, whoa. Back up off. Frankie's my doubles partner. Back up off.
Yeah, however, Stu, I will say, if there were some rule changes and McNeil needed a partner for the USBC Open, I might consider bowling with McNeil. Yeah.
Since they've flattened him off, his USBC Open.
He's dropping the average at a rapid pace.
Yeah, he's not. He might be outside the top 10 in lifetime average leaders real fast. Yeah. So Velmo actually got out of the urethane ball after just 4 frames, changed to an axiom. Seemed like he saw the writing on the wall of Simo's reaction. It was quite the move, though. He went from playing 10-8 to 17-2. So it was kind of fun because they put the ideal lineup, and it didn't look very much like what he was doing.
And he missed the ideal line.
Yeah, by about a week on both sides. I felt like in that match, two things that I wrote notes on was that Simo was creating an immense amount of left. Like it felt like he could almost throw at the head pin and it would just fade back. Yeah. And he created that on the left lane, which is one that everybody had the big trouble with, especially when they're trying to use the urethane balls. Also, the other thing about Simo was he had the most annoying strike song in the world because he used the same song that was at Nationals.
Which one is that?
Oh, I don't remember what it was, but it was I was in Vegas quite a few times with Nationals last year, and the walk-on music was the same song that Simo used for strike music. So I'm sure that Mark Anderson was getting like twitches at home. So that was that match. I
just think Velmo. I don't know how much Simonson also using urethane affected him or not, but it just kind of went back to the first match that he had, and he wasn't really feeling comfortable. Like I said, I don't think that he ever really got anything going. Even the 260, he admitted it. He said he got a few good breaks. I don't really think he ever was comfortable. No. But he's Velmo, and he finds ways to make it to the to make a deep run anyway.
Yeah, this is fun. John says, how accurate do you think Spectre rev numbers are? A couple of things tend to think it overestimates. No,
we kind of touched on it a little bit when we were talking about trying to get the lowest rev rate. I mean, if you throw a plastic ball down the middle, it'll read much higher. There's some inconsistencies with it. I think it's a great tool, but depending on what part of the lane you're using. I heard the ball you're using also matters, if it's a darker color versus a brighter color. So there's some inconsistencies with it, but in general, it gives a good idea.
I was talking to Barnes about this last night, and this is the one thing I wanted to bring up in this. All I know is whether people want to say it's accurate or not is goddamn Bill O'Neill throws it exactly the same every time.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Like if you watch the entirety of that thing, he had, I think it was 3 shots the entire time, and 2 of those were in the 10th frame against Smallwood when he moved in to not split, that he had a rev rate between 396 and 402. And being as the way that thing is like a calculation, if you throw it a bit harder, it'll change your rev rate. If you kind of hook it more, it'll probably change your rev rate a bit. So the fact that Bill managed to bowl 3 games and basically have no shots that were outside of a 10 rev count is absolutely insane. I mean, insane. Like I've practiced on Spectre quite a few times, and you can try it. Like try throwing 5 shots in a row within basically exactly the same rev rate. It's really difficult. and he did it on the biggest stage and did basically 30 shots. Yeah. I honestly, I was like, this is unbelievable. Every shot he throws is 397. He had 4 in a row that were the same rev rate. I'm like,
it's pretty tough to get that calculation with all the factors that go into it, because it's not actually just rev rate. It is it's pretty crazy how you put me on it. And I started watching, like, holy cow. I mean, the one shot he missed in because it didn't hook.
mm-hmm.
It read high, but other than that, it was 396 to 404. Like, well, he bowled 3 games on there, or 4 games on there, and there was 2 shots that were outside the
it was
the 396 to 404. It was
it was madness. I mean, I understand that, like, oh well, you know, you could see he was throwing it good. It's just unbelievable that he could throw that many shots and not have one where it's like, yeah, it was, and especially considering he clearly wasn't hitting it as hard as he could, or like he was actually doing something that wasn't really what. Because I would say that if Bill was bowling his regular game, he'd probably be around 420 on that thing.
Yeah.
So he was probably taking
right.
his hand out of it a little bit. So to repeat doing something that isn't your most comfortable thing is also absolutely mind-boggling. But in that match against Smallwood, Bill, the 2 things I noticed was Bill seemed to be using the earliest rolling ball of anybody who was bowling in the playoffs, like outside of the urethanes. Like everybody else, if they didn't use urethane, were kind of using kind of quick response balls. There was a lot of high road balls, a couple of high roads, trend. Velmo went to a shiny axiom when he tried to throw reactive. Simonson was using like what it probably wasn't, but it looked like it certainly wasn't a dull idle.
I think it was just a brand new one.
Yeah,
I think it was a trick idle. I know that he had been experimenting with a lot of different 2-hander layouts. I think it might have been the one that the pin was past his VAL. I think it was actually.
And should we tell a story about how Sean laid all these balls out for Simonson?
Yeah.
And Simonson didn't necessarily know this was happening. So I think he had 3 of them. Was it 3 of them?
Yeah, 3 of them.
Just weird ass layouts. And Simonson turned to me and Frankie and he said, I'm dying for one of these just to go dead straight. And at the end of the week, we want to drill another idle and not be one because this one's here. Oh, I'm going to be in such a great mood when that happens. But then he ended up using one. So, you know.
Yeah. Simonson's got some great lines. He went home between the World Series finals and the playoffs. And we were texting with him. We have a group chat, and we were just wondering when he was coming back. And he said, "I think I'll be back the day before the playoffs." And we're like, "Okay." And he wasn't really feeling pretty good. He says, "I can't strike on TV at the moment." And anytime he says something like that, everybody should feel like they're in danger, because every time he says something like that, he wins or makes the finals, or he goes on a ridiculous run. So as soon as he said that, Sloan and I looked at each other and we thought he was going to win.
Well, he did bowl 258, 270, 286.
Yeah, can't strike on TV.
So here's a quick question, Chris, that's quite interesting. Chris, if you could add one Storm rotor ball to your lineup, which one would it be? Stu and Frankie the opposite for 900 global.
That's a good question.
I'll go first. I think I'd add a volatility torque, because that ball seems to be really, really good for like 75% of the people. Like it doesn't leave you wondering. The people either absolutely love that ball or they can't make it do what they want it to do. And I feel like I'm in the group. I always feel like I'm in the group who can make it do exactly what I want. So I've seen straighties and guys who want to hook the crap out of it throw a lot of strikes with that ball. So that's the one I'm adding.
Once upon a time, it certainly would have been a Marvel S. So.
Oh yeah.
These days, probably, I mean, the most successful ball of the last several, years. The phase 2, either phase 2 or the idle, have both been so good that I guess I'd probably take a swing at one or both of those balls first.
Yeah, I haven't really paid too much attention to the the 900 global balls, so that's a little harder for me to say. But is it the honey badger that was really good?
Yeah, the white badger is probably.
Yeah, it kind of it made me look at that one a little more when some people were using the way it looked. It's a shape that I don't necessarily get all the time, so anytime I can get a ball to help me get that shape, it's not a bad idea.
I could see you being an aspect guy, Frankie.
I was thinking about that one too, because that one's pretty close to a phase 2 with numbers wise, isn't it?
Yeah, and actually we did a demo last Friday that
Or that new one. I heard good things about the new one, the yin and yang Zen. Yeah, the Zen.
Yeah,
I don't know what it is, but I heard good things about it.
Same type numbers, 248051, except it's shiny and it outputs the aspect. So
yeah, it hooked a lot for a shiny ball, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But going back to our little thing about that we were talking about, meeting on TV and how many times they've met on TV and how insane it is. Like Bill O'Neill and Smallwood, to me, feel like they make a lot of major shows between them, and they've met one time since 2009. So basically, in the time that, because Bill came on tour, I think 2005 or 6, and Smallwood came on in 2009. Smallwood met him when he won the World Championships. Never met on TV after that, not once. So that blew my mind that they've never, because they feel like the guys who finish like 4th, 5th, qualify, get into the ladder a lot at the same time, like on those majors. Like
they certainly make a lot of top 10s in long formats.
Yeah, and it just felt like the odds were they must have, but I guess there's just one or the other.
Bill is that guy. It seems like he's always doing his thing. You don't really notice him, and then eventually there's 3 games left in match play after 55 games, and you look up and Bill's in 3rd again. He's just that guy that's quietly making his way up there in every major.
Yeah, he doesn't miss spares. He hits his target a lot. He's a grinder. He'll do what he needs to do. Probably doesn't have the best ball reaction in the building, but he's never lost for 4 games in a row either, which is the killer that everybody hits when you miss, is that you have that stretch where, especially if it's in match play and you lose 150 to the field and you can't catch it up.
The one thing that I did notice in that match was it seemed like Smallwood was a little late with his ball change. Whether it would have made a difference, I don't know, but he changed in the 8th frame, got the double to kind of put a little pressure on Bill down the stretch. Bill stone 8 in the 9th, which kind of made it a little interesting for the 10th, because then he needed to close the frame. He did. But I'm sure that Smallwood on the drive home was ruined the fact that he didn't, make the plunge a couple of frames earlier. So moved on to the final. That changed format to the 2-game race to 2 thing. I still don't really know how to describe that to people. Race to 2 just seems so weird. Simo started off again.
Yeah, I mean, best of 2's never been a thing.
No.
That just doesn't exist, does it?
No.
Well, it does in best of 3, I guess. Just a different way of saying it, but yeah.
Yeah. Simo started off with the pitch black again. Made sense that I guess that they'd reel the lanes for the final, but I didn't 100% know, but it kind of makes sense. He didn't have anywhere near as good a reaction. It felt like he was having to fit it for me. He missed the a couple of things that went against Simonson in this match. It's kind of weird to say that, but if Bill had bowled a little better the first game, I think it would have been good for Simo, because
he would have got out of it.
He was in the urethane, and he really didn't want to be in it, but he couldn't change out of it because he could fit it. So Simo missed the spare in the 7th. He had the 245. He chopped it, which, of the people who, like, Simo's a really good spare shooter most of the time, it feels like when I watch him. Then in the 10th, he 4-pinned. And then, of course, when he looked at the count, he then had to throw the urethane again because he needed the strike to force Bill to spare. So that was the first part of it that was a pain for him.
Yeah.
Then he starts the next game with the urethane again, And it's almost like Bill trolled him because Bill started split spare. So now Simo's like, well,
yeah, split, ring 10, strike, stone 8. And you're like,
so you can see
you
Simo's
knew
brain.
this, right? Like,
You can see Simo's brain's like, oh, I want to change, but I can't. But I really want to change, but I can't. So Bill got the strike in the third, and Simo walked off the set and got a reactive ball, and he sat cuddling it. And I'm like, he's pulling the trigger. And then Bill stone 8. So then Simo's like, but I'm still ahead, and I just can't change. So then he bowled. So then he changed on the 1 lane eventually, and he got the strike. And then he threw it so bad, like he was so angry with himself because I think he knew that he was okay on the left lane with the urethane ball.
yeah,
So
on his good lane. Yeah.
Long story short, it went back and forth, and yeah, I think that it was just one of those situations where Simo was so aware of the match that it actually became his downfall, and that if Bill had blown him out the first game, then he would have changed ball. And if Bill had started off strong the second game, he would have changed ball. But he found himself, it was now like the 8th frame or something. He's like, oh, I'm still in this ball. And there was just, situationally, it worked out so perfectly for Bill, where he bowled good and where he almost forced Simo to stay in the urethane ball by starting badly in that game. And it was just so weird because as somebody who's in the non-Don Barrett club of wanting to change ball like just willy-nilly, I felt Simo's pain watching it because you could almost see his brain like ticking, going, "Should I change? Shouldn't I change? Should I change?" It was just, yeah, it was an awkward situation. I'm sure that we've all been trapped like that.
Yeah,
I felt like watching it was a rerun of last year where Bill bowled Sean, and Sean made the lanes easy for Bill, and I thought Velmo did the same thing for Simonson with the urethane, and then when they went the other way around. Then he went to the next match, and Prather went left to Bill, and Bill's reaction got 150, got 60 pins a game worse, basically.
Mm-hmm.
30 or 40 pins a game worse at least. And then, but Bill going the other side of it, like Simonson made Bill's reaction better. He just stayed outside of him, and it wasn't as good as it was when he followed those two guys playing the shim, but that I thought Bill, it created some hold on a lane that didn't really have a lot of hold for a lot of people, other than Frankie making them look easy. Really, the first 2 rounds, they didn't look like much fun at all. I certainly didn't think I had hold anywhere on the lane without some help.
No, like I say, I thought that in the entirety of it, Bill bowled incredible. I felt like he had the best plan and executed really well. Whereas I felt like, Frank, your plan was good when you had the hold, but I felt like you had to execute better than Bill had to execute for it to be right. And it was just what Bill was doing. Maybe we're not giving him enough credit for, because a lot of people can't create that shape, but he could, and that managed to create him so much miss room.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
even if he didn't use it that often.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like Frankie and Bill both had a very kind of similar game plan, doing it their own way, and I thought you two guys played it the best. Bill using the slower ball, it seemed like when he came up against the urethane that it actually just helped him, and I thought yours saw it a little bit more. It's so easy in retrospect. I mean, I watched a bunch of matches before my match and then bowled and went, oh, that's not what I thought was going to happen at all.
Yeah, I mean, and to be honest, because we were bowling on the fresh against Velmo, I didn't think I would be using the trend. It just in the handful of practice shots that we got, that was clearly going to be the only option for that match. And I knew I might have to get to the high road pearl. We kind of covered that a little bit earlier. I didn't really get to it because it was a hard move to make, but I thought I was going to be throwing an IQ tour. It just didn't flare enough. Same thing with that hustle PBR. Those were the other two options that I had with me. But like I said, with the topography there, and they just didn't flare enough for me to be able to use them. So I had to go with the trend, and yeah, it was a little touchier because we were on fresh, and there hadn't been as many urethane shots to help me out.
Yeah, it's weird with that IQ tour because I feel like when it's great, but there seems like there's so many times that we bowl on tour at the minute where it doesn't quite flare enough.
Mm-hmm.
Yet when we've had balls that have flared more with R2S, nobody uses them.
Yeah,
it's just a really odd paradox, I guess. It's very strange. It seems like that should be the most obvious ball that we'd want, like an R2S that flared a bit more,
mm-hmm.
but nobody uses it. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is there, but I mean, yeah, because I mean the Nano cover is so much earlier in the IQ Tour Nano.
Yeah, it's quite a big difference between the Nano Pearl and the regular IQ Tour.
Mm-hmm. Any other business, Christopher?
I don't have a lot. I did want to say, we were remiss about this. I've bowled on tour a long, long time now, and I've managed to win my third one now. Evidently, I finally did something that was important enough for the IBMA to recognize me as the people's champion and September's bowler of the month.
Because you won a regional.
I won a regional to get that. I was able to outpace the 123 that got bowled against me in the final. Pull this one off, and I had an opportunity to donate $50 to them on behalf of Kegel or get the plaque. But since I have so few of these, and so little in my career to earn any, I was definitely going to have this. I hesitated to take it out of the plastic, but I went ahead and did. I figured out the key. Marshall won one for winning a sweeper in Russia one time. So if I just stop winning important events, I can win one of these.
So, Frank, you have one of those.
Yeah, well, I don't have the plaque. I choose the donations instead.
Yeah, you're not vindictive like me, so you would.
I have one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got two, I think.
I was the first non-Mika foreigner to win one.
It turns out it's not really vindictive. It turns out the only thing I hold on to tighter than $1 is a grudge. So there's that.
I didn't even know there was a donation at the time. They just sent me a plaque. I think the donation's a new thing.
It must be, yeah.
So somebody's clearly somebody you need to run your fan page.
6.
6 is up there.
Yeah, 6 is certainly up there. I mean, I'm not even halfway.
You do have a pretty good strike rate. You got like 2 out of 5. So I mean,
yeah, 2015 was the first one. Yeah.
So you'd have to play 15 US Opens to get to that's still quite a lot of US Opens. I mean, that would mean you'd have to win one when you're like close to your 40s.
Barring any injuries and anything like that. Torn ACLs or, career enders.
Well, you do put a lot of weight on your frame.
That's true.
He does use one of those orange heels as well.
That's why I need it, because I have to run so fast to create any speed.
That's Chris's reaction. See, usually the reaction is this.
It's expensive. I'm trying to pare back.
Yeah, right. Yeah, 6 US Opens would be all right.
6 is good. Yeah, I mean, you're not halfway there, but to be fair, there's only like 3 people that are. So
that's true. And they're not looking like they're going to get there.
No, and none of them are still bowling. So
yeah, I do every year. I chat with Frank at the US. It's like I always laugh with Frankie about the US Open because it's always like the people who get announced. There's no like guys who's like, who's that guy? When they win the US Open. And I was saying to Frankie, I said, now, because when they announce them, they announce who won it most recently or whatever. But then they leave the multiple US Open winners till the end. And I go, yeah, it's cool. You, Pete, Norm and Walt get to hang out at the foul line at the end. They only have 20 times more titles than you do, or
Yeah,
10 times more titles than you do. Yeah, it's kind of funny watching them.
Yeah, it's nice. I think the more likely to happen than having 6 U.S. Open titles might be 6 TV 300s.
I think you're right.
It's just a matter of time before the proton physics gets one. I drilled that one yesterday. That's pretty good.
Here he is. I like it. I like it, Frank. Man, the proton physics made me look like I could strike in Play-Doh this weekend. There's a first time for everything. Not Chris Barnes strikes. Did you hear about Barnes' run?
I saw Lavery's post. That those are some pretty impressive scores there.
I'm just trying to get ready for the PBA 50 tour. Or do I attempt to catch up with any left-hander in a regional this summer?
Yeah. All right. What? Calm it down. Keep up with the lefty, not a lefty, the lefty.
Thank God Jesper can't come over more regionals.
Yeah. Did you see Jacob polished off another one this weekend?
I saw that. Yeah.
I love it. They show that, like, lots of people live stream the position round. It's always hilarious. Jacob's leading by 197 going into position round. Man, he must have had an off day.
Yeah, he had to take a game off to only be ahead by 200 at that point. So.
Yeah, I saw. I think Blanchard, because he's the new director now, he's been posting scoring updates, and I saw the first round. He posted the updates, and PJ and Darren were first and second, and they were both averaging 240. And then a little bit later on at night, I logged into Facebook again, and I saw Jacob posted a picture of his score sheet, and that guy goes 400 over more than anybody I know in an 8-game block. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
PJ and Darren were both averaging 240, and Jacob went over them by over 100.
Yeah, I mean, it's him and Jasper. Like, we do things like if you bowl like 2050 for a block, it feels like you're king of the world, like king of the universe. And they go, "Oh, you didn't get a 2100."
Yeah.
Like I shoot 1040 in a PBA tournament. I'm like for 4, and I'm running around the building going, "Do you see what I shot? Do you see what I shot?" Yeah, like, yeah, it's not 1100. I've only probably done that 4 times this season. 1040.
Yeah, I've been doing this for a while, and so that was my highest 5-game block ever, 1366, as far as I can remember it. And I'm relatively certain it doesn't catch either one of those two, and neither one of them are to their, neither one are 30. So, or even close.
No, I mean, basically, you average what McNeil averaged at Nationals for a few years.
Yeah. To be fair, I did have to move off my dot as I was going, but for my highest career set ever, it was also, I told Baker yesterday, I think it was about my 372nd best executed set, probably, for that score. So, and for a change, I just didn't try and fix it, which is my problem all the time. So,
give a shout out to the ball then.
What's that?
I said you need to give a shout out to the ball.
Well, I wanted to throw the Zen a lot, but I threw a flux quite a bit as well. So this weekend. So
that was the one you did the damage with, though.
The flux I did the damage with. That place hooks too much for a Zen. It's crazy. So
maybe 4 300s in 4 U.S. Open title shows. There you go.
Oh, that
works too.
Compromise. It won't pay as well, but
well, it's the U.S. Open. It might.
I'm gonna have to get out of here soon.
No, we're good. I think. Here we go. Last question. This can be the last question. Question for all three. What's your highest series for a 3-game set?
862. Went double big 4. That was in junior league with a slingshot, the Brunswick slingshot.
I thought Walker was the only shot with those balls.
No, it was a 14-pound Brunswick slingshot in junior league. I think I was about 15, and I haven't gotten anywhere close to that.
9 tap doesn't count.
No, it was double big 4, 6-2, and And sheet, yeah.
I've got an 868.
867, but mine was at a PBA stop.
It to the TV show. It was the same place as well, wasn't it? My 866 and your 867 is the same place. Thunderball.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Neither me.
858 with a pro hook beat that one.
There you go.
I gotta get out of here.
All right.
All right. See ya.
Well, it's just the two of us. I will. What have you got coming up?
Coming up, not too much. Let me look at my calendar. There's there really isn't that much in the month of November around me, but then I think there's like 3 tournaments going on in the end of the month. There's potentially the Greater Tulsa Open. I'm not sure yet about that. If not, I think there's some smaller events in Kansas City. There's a Thanksgiving tournament in San Antonio, and yeah, I signed up for it. And the what's it called? The Invitational, the Southwest Region Invitational, that we finally get to bowl. We won't be at Martin Larson's tournament. So there were some benefits to COVID, I guess. The dates for that had to change, and we end up being able to bowl it.
Yeah, we got the invitational. I got the backdoor entry this week.
You're in now?
Yeah, I'm in. So we got that, and then the week after, right now, Jimbo has a regional going, I believe.
In Lubbock, that's right.
Yeah. And then the week after that is the over-under doubles. And no, Frankie, I'm not old enough yet.
over under, is it 40 or 50?
It's 50.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the Lubbock regional will be the end of the year for me. I think that'll be the last one.
But, well, if you want, there's some pretty good bowling in Dallas just after Christmas. You should check
after
it out.
Christmas. What's going on in Dallas?
There's a bunch of things. There's a $4,000 for over under 40.
Okay.
You can bowl with me. Unfortunately, I can't because I'm already bowling with Pete Thomas. There's an over under 40. Dimitri's dad, Daniel, has got some things running down in Angleton, or Angleton. I think it's Angleton. He's got a mini megabucks type thing running. So I'll shoot you a message. But
yeah, sounds good. Okay. Then we're starting 2021 off strong together, aren't we?
Yes, we're going to dominate the
old snowman.
The snowman doubles. I'm going to snowman my ball, so we'll be fine. We won't have any worries about hook. I've got it sorted.
Yeah, sounds good. I'm going to put in a couple of orders for some 180 pads and 360s.
I've got stuff that's way rougher than that, Frank. We're good. We don't need pads.
Beautiful.
The curb outside. All right. I will. I guess we'll thank our sponsors: Storm, Rotogrip, 900 Global, Vice, Turbo, Coolwick, 3G Shoes, Dexter, Master, and Bowlsmart. And you can thank Buddies.
And Buddies Pro Shop. Yeah, you've got that down now. You've gotten quite a bit of practice over the last couple months.
Well, that's BArnzy's role, but I just read as it went along the bottom. I started reading at the right time.
Perfect. Yeah.
So, all right. Take care. Thanks for coming.
All right. Yeah. Thanks, Stewie.
All right. Bye.
See you later.